Thank you, Chris. And let me just add my thanks one more time with everyone else for the wonderful work of our innovators. Thank you again. The last time we met together at the 2008 Assets Learning Conference, the date was September 11th through September 13th. We were in a different world. It is no exaggeration to think that the change in the world that occurred pre and post 9/11/2001 in terms of homeland security is on the scale of what happened just 2 days after our conference ended on September 15th, when Lehman Brothers failed. This failure set in motion a spiral of events that have permanently changed our ideas about market regulation, or the very fact that markets can be self-regulated, and the realities of economic security. Credit tightened, stocks dived, consumer spending and business investment fell precipitously, and 5 million jobs were lost between September 15th and June 2009. To quote Robert Samuelson, which is something I don't do often, until then, deteriorating housing and mortgage markets had triggered what seemed a serious but not unprecedented recession. Once Lehman failed, the economy went into a frenzied freefall. 6 weeks after this event, Barack Obama was elected president, with majorities in the House and the Senate. Everything changed again in ways we could barely imagine. Cabinet secretaries and assistant secretaries and White House staff who not only knew the word asset building, but had even practiced or advocated on its behalf, assumed positions of power and influence. And on April 2009, President Barack Obama made the following statement: "We cannot rebuild this economy on the same pile of sand. We must build our house upon a rock. We must lay a new foundation for growth and prosperity, a foundation that will move us from an era of borrow and spend to one where we save and invest." It was that quotation and the policies and commitments and experiences that stood behind it, both of the president and of everyone in this room, that inspired the title of this conference. The first part of the title, The Assets Movement, comes from you. I see a movement in this room, and even just now on this stage, that spans geography, race, ethnicity, disability, industry, sector, citizenship, gender, religion, age, class, and culture. Recently, a wonderful article by Robin Katcher titled "Unstill Waters: The Fluid Role of Networks in Social Movements" appeared in the nonprofit Quarterly just in time for us to snag her to speak to the local and state asset coalitions yesterday. Her article describes the essential role and inherent flexibility of movement networks in supporting and contributing to social movements. She ends her article challenging us to think differently about how we structure our roles and engagement in our movement activities from those that take place within our organizations. She says, and I quote, "The highly adaptive nature of networks that seek to contribute to and support social movements challenges the past 30 years of traditional thinking on what it takes to build and develop nonprofit organizations." 40 people met yesterday to form a new network called the Global Asset Action Network. Over 300 of you are storming Capitol Hill tomorrow. Over 60 national organizations and corporations have signed on as part of the Child Savings Account Coalition. Over 180 people spent the past day and a half discussing, evaluating, strategizing, and brainstorming about the role of local and state asset coalitions in advancing policy change throughout the country. While our data shows that 50% of the asset coalitions that attended this session have been working together for more than 3 years, the rest of you have been at it for less than that. suggesting a recent explosion of interest in the state and local coalition approach. We are collectively building a movement-oriented network that has the goal of bringing assets into the economic justice movement. And we could not have heard a more eloquent testimony to the need for that than the comments and presentation of Melvin and Tom a few minutes ago. We are also, after 5 to 10 years of organizing ourselves, mainstreaming our work in recognition of the accomplishments to date, but how far we have to go to bring the assets approach to scale. And it is exactly because of this that we have reached a new moment in the assets field. So how is it our moment? And how do we leverage it? First, we see the real problem. We understand that we must pair data on income poverty with data on asset poverty to understand the true level of economic insecurity of households in the United States. We understand through research of scholars such as Melvin Oliver and Thomas Shapiro and Mariko Chang, who's here with her new book on women and wealth, the breadth and depth of the racial wealth gap and how it is neither accident nor merit that has produced the inequalities of wealth, ownership, and economic participation of people of color, women, and low-income communities in the US. It has largely been a matter and result of policy. Number 2, we take an integrated approach in solving the problem. All of you, in your bags, have an incredibly colorful one-page handout called the Household Financial Security Framework. This framework shows us the complexity of what it takes to achieve financial security. And if you want to take it out and read along, go right ahead. Reducing poverty and achieving financial security and empowerment is a dynamic process in which households iteratively gain skills, increase income, begin to save, leverage savings into assets, and protect gains made along the way. In many ways, this is what Michael Barr just talked about. The focus of the framework provides a universal lens that makes it possible for any organization, be it government, philanthropic, nonprofit, or private sector, to identify the specific ways their work contributes to the financial betterment of families. The 5 perspectives, learn, earn, save, invest, and protect, illustrate the cycle of asset building and the critical importance of delivering essential services to households, and how those services, such as public benefits, childcare, affordable housing, and match savings, contribute to the overall financial well-being of the household. And equally crucial are the larger systems and infrastructures, both policy and market-related, that both enable and incent families to build economic security. If there's one thing we know, there is no silver bullet for ending poverty or for building financial security. Number 3, we practice wealth creation done right. And in many ways, this was the lesson that Michael Barr was sharing with us earlier, and Melvin was particularly provocative on, I thought. Almost 2 decades of real-world practice and implementation, paired with high-quality research and evaluation, has documented that if the right structures and opportunities are available, low-income families can and will dramatically shift their economic trajectories through savings and asset accumulation for themselves and for their children. New research conducted by CFED and the Urban Institute substantiates the claim that if affordable homeownership is done right, just as Melvin said before, that is with savings, financial education, and appropriate mortgage products, low-income individuals will be successful homeowners. The study tracked 831 homebuyers in 17 states who purchased their homes using IDAs between 1999 and 2007. Relative to comparable low-income homebuyers who purchased homes in the same communities over the same time period, only IDA homeowners obtained significantly preferable mortgage loan terms, with only 1.5% having high interest mortgage rates, compared to 20% of the broader sample. and they were 2 to 3 times less likely to face a foreclosure. This lesson of savings, high-quality debt, and appropriate financial education can be applied to education savings, it can be applied to business development, it can be applied to any of the asset-building uses that we are facing.